While Shedeur Sanders ignited practice like it was a Super Bowl audition, Louis Riddick's mental wiring short-circuited. One moment he was composed and analytical, the next he looked one highlight reel away from leaping through the screen to confront the coaching staff himself. This wasn't a take, it was a live definition. Unfiltered, unforgettable, because for someone like Riddick, who clawed his way from the bottom of the NFL ladder to respected front office mind, the idea of faking a draft call for clout was utterly repulsive. The thought of pulling a prank like that, pretending to be a GM, only to hang up and chuckle like a teenager chasing TikTok likes, didn't just irritate him, it offended his football soul. But that wasn't the only trigger. The real spark? The coaching carousel. There's nothing, and I mean nothing, that rattles a former executive more than watching a coaching staff fall head over cleats in love with a rookie quarterback. In July, to Riddick, the Browns coaches weren't just intrigued by Shedeur, they were practically composing wedding vows. And Shedeur, he wasn't even trying. He was casually dropping 40-yard bombs off his back foot, gliding through 2-minute drills like it was recess, and exuding more poise than a defense attorney at a rave. The buzz was deafening. The grins on the Browns sideline? Even louder. Riddick was one eyebrow twitch away from combustion. Reports out of Cleveland OTAs confirmed that Sanders was lighting it up, statistically outperforming every quarterback in the room. Through the first week alone, 41 completions on 53 attempts, 9 touchdowns, just 1 interception. Every time he stepped on the field, a coach reportedly let out an audible "Sa-su." It became a symphony of obsession, and then came the tipping point. Riddick saw the footage, he heard the glowing reviews, and he imploded live on national TV. You could see it in his eyes. Decades of scouting wisdom, player development theory, and backup quarterback grooming being torched by one rookie in designer cleats launching lasers in shorts. The old school handbook shredded, and Riddick shook. See, Shedeur wasn't even the most talented guy on his college squad. He had stars around him, Travis, Hunter, Horn, and elite weapons galore. But that made his performance even more impressive. Unlike Cam Ward, who was the gritty grinder and focal point of every offense he touched, Sanders operated with precision and poise, surrounded by stars, and still stood out. But what really set Riddick off wasn't just the praise, it was the way they praised him. The Browns coaches weren't analyzing him like a project. They were starry-eyed, speaking of Shedeur like he was Brady reincarnated or a cheesecake menu in human form. They didn't sound like evaluators, they sounded like superfans. And Riddick, he was not amused. His reaction was the football equivalent of an ex seeing their old flame dating someone younger, sharper, and with a stronger deep ball. And he had legitimate questions. Has this kid even taken an NFL hit yet? Are we really crowning a king before he's even logged a preseason snap? Because the last time Cleveland went all in on a quarterback this quickly, they were bulk ordering Baker Mayfield jerseys and planting flags like they were storming Normandy. And we all remember how that turned out. More commercials than playoff wins. But here comes Shedeur, with his father's swagger and his own brand of calculated chaos. And the Browns are acting like they found football's secret weapon hiding in plain sight. Coaches whispering about Sheddeur packages over dinner, drawing up plays on napkins, watching practice tape like it was classified footage. And the depth chart? Not even flinching. No cold shoulders, no drama, just a silent acknowledgement. Yeah, this kid is cooking. One defensive back allegedly faked a shoelace issue to avoid lining up against him again. Another asked to switch to special teams for the week. That's the aura Sanders carried. An energy so disruptive, it made grown men reconsider their positions on the team. So when Riddick melted down, it wasn't because Shedger was bad. It was because he was too good too fast, and the Browns were treating him like the second coming of Montana before he'd even earned a snap with the first team. And here's the kicker. He hasn't taken a single rep with the starters, yet the hype train has no brakes. Fans are already crowning him QB1. But Riddick, the old guard purist, insists he has to earn that. Head coach Kevin Stefanski has to establish a process, one rooted in fair evaluation, not fever dream infatuation. Because if he doesn't, the whispers will grow louder, the critics will return. Overhyped, not that athletic, weak arm, fifth-round flyer. All the narratives the league loves to recycle when a young, confident black quarterback dares to exceed expectations. But Riddick isn't buying the hate. He's just demanding balance, equal reps, real tests. Let the kid prove it. Not in highlight clips, but in meaningful reps against real pressure. Because in the end, Riddick didn't spend decades building a football career just to watch a coaching staff throw the blueprint out the window after a few dazzling throws in a no-contact practice. He wasn't doubting Shedeur, he was doubting Cleveland's ability to handle the storm they're about to unleash. Let the kid breathe. But the Browns? They're too starstruck to hear it. They've got Shedeur Sanders launching no-look darts like he's auditioning for a viral TikTok montage, while the coaching staff grins like they just hit the Powerball and scored lifetime VIP passes to Disney World. One coach reportedly said he hasn't slept since that Tuesday scrimmage, 'cause the tape keeps haunting his dreams. Another allegedly showed up to a press conference wearing Shedeur's signature shades, not literally but emotionally. Oh, absolutely. Even the water boys seem bewitched, reportedly mixing Gatorade with extra zing whenever it's destined for QB1. You know you've arrived when the hydration crew starts tailoring your sugar ratios. So now the question echoing through every sports segment and group chat is, what exactly is happening with Shedeur Sanders? Because what once was a conversation about potential has transformed into a full-blown media frenzy. And according to some analysts, this isn't even a football debate anymore. It's personal. It's not about arm strength or game tape. It's about fit. It's about whether NFL franchises feel comfortable with the package that comes with Shedeur, his inner circle, his personality, his lineage. Right or wrong, that's what it boils down to. And all the while, Louis Riddick is spiraling into a full-blown existential crisis on national television. Here's a man who's weathered more quarterback implosions than a rebooted Madden franchise, and now he's watching another scenario unravel, not because the player lacks skill, but because the hype machine has gone rogue, broken its brakes, and slammed headfirst into Delusion City. To be fair, Sheddeur never asked for this circus. He just clocked in, laced his cleats, and started diamond throws with laser-like precision. He commands the huddle like a vet, dissects coverages like a seasoned pro, and now lives rent-free in every Browns coach's cerebral cortex. The real question isn't, is he ready? It's, are they? Because judging by the staff's reaction, they're already drafting statue blueprints and rehearsing gold jacket measurements. The kid hasn't even picked his locker airflow preference yet, and they're mapping out his Hall of Fame speech. Meanwhile, poor Riddick is sitting in a suit, rocking back and forth in an ESPN chair, whispering about premature anointing and dangerous expectations while everyone else is line dancing into the Shedeur era like it's senior prom. And hey, maybe the Browns nailed it. Maybe Shedeur is the guy. Maybe he walks into week 1, torches a division rival for 300 yards, and Riddick's televised meltdown becomes a comedic footnote in the birth of a dynasty. Because the truth is, he's done nothing wrong. So why is this conversation even happening? Why is his character under scrutiny? Here's why. Because people are still carrying bitterness toward his father. That's the unspoken truth. There are folks in the NFL ecosystem who've resented Deonte Sanders for years because he was iconic, unapologetic, and impossibly good. And now his son is showing flashes of greatness, and the critics are looking for any excuse to poke holes, because that's what the league does. It doesn't nurture Cinderella stories. It puts them in a cage match and dares them to survive. And when the pressure really hits, we'll find out if the Browns still look at Shedeur like their savior or start calling conservative plays like the cheat code expired. Either way, someone should probably hide the remote from Louis Riddick. Because if Shedeur uncorks another sideline laser this week, the man might need a therapist, a fire extinguisher, and an off-treg. And just when you think the spectacle can't get more absurd, enter the analysts. The same talking heads who said Brock Purdy was a one-week wonder until he started lighting up scoreboards. The same critics who dismissed Lamar Jackson as a running back with a pipe dream. Now they've locked in on their newest lightning rod, Shedeur Sanders. The kid could thread a dime through a keyhole blindfolded. But unless he has a Harvard degree and the last name Manning, it's never enough. 5th rounder? That label is quickly looking like a misfire. Sanders arrived in Berea and made an indelible impression that few rookies ever do. Precision in the passing game, composure in the red zone, and an escalating rapport with his targets. All of it was on full display at OTAs. Now, remember, we're talking jerseys and shorts, not full pads. He hasn't consistently faced a first-team defense. But the tools, the reads, the processing, the arm talent, it's all there. And while no one's penciling him in as the Week 1 starter over Joe Flacco, let's be crystal clear. If Flacco doesn't take the opening snap, the only name that deserves to be in the QB2 conversation is Shedder Sanders. But Sanders isn't the lone rookie turning heads. Quinshon Judkins is making the game look effortless, as in NFL ready from day one? Effortless. The way he's slicing through the defense, the burst he shows coming out of the backfield, it's textbook. Sports Illustrated nailed it when they labeled Judkins as a prototypical NFL running back. This isn't about potential, it's about proven readiness, strength, patience, explosiveness. He's got the complete package. And let's not forget the landscape in Cleveland's running back room. With uncertainty swirling and opportunities wide open, Judkins isn't just knocking on the door. He's about to bulldoze it down. He could be carrying the load for this offense far sooner than expected. Then, there's Carson Swessinger, another young up-and-comer stealthily emerging from the shadows. You don't often hear about rookie linebackers commanding the spotlight early, but Swessinger is the exception. His football IQ is off the charts. Jordan Hicks couldn't stop raving about his instincts, his play recognition, his ability to drop back into coverage, his relentless pursuit of the ball. This guy is already being whispered about as a potential defensive signal caller, a future green dot. If you're a Browns fan searching for the next defensive leader, you might want to keep your eyes on, 53. And let's not forget Jerry Jeudy, who's not just cementing himself as a reliable wideout, but emerging as the guy in the receiver core. The chemistry he's building with Joe Flacco, it's real. Locker room camaraderie, daily conversations, on-field synergy, it's all happening. Jeudy is proving he's ready to embrace the WR1 role with Elijah Moore out of the picture, and he's doing it with crisp footwork, sharp routes, and the veteran savvy that can transform this passing game into a legitimate threat, assuming the quarterback play holds up. But for every riser, someone inevitably slides. And the biggest eyebrow raiser? Deonte Hardy, a complete no-show at voluntary OTAs. Now, yes, it's technically voluntary, but when you're a journeyman who's bounced from the Steelers to the Texans to the Ravens and now the Browns, you can't afford to miss reps, especially not with a new team, a new coaching staff, and a new quarterback room. This was his chance to stake a claim, and instead, he's left fans with more questions than answers. Let's be honest. If it doesn't work in Cleveland, where does it work? And then there's the elephant in the room, DeShaun Watson. Harsh? Maybe. But real? Absolutely. Watson was absent from OTAs, and the vibe surrounding his status feels like a slow fade to irrelevance. 2 rookie quarterbacks have been drafted. Flacco was brought in. Kenny Pickett was traded for. The writing's on the wall, and it's in bold font. When you combine his injury history, off-field controversies, and declining performance, the road back to being the guy looks like a tightrope walk. Watson at QB5. That's not just a slide, that's a free fall. And speaking of Kenny Pickett, what exactly is his role in all of this? Is he an insurance policy, trade bait, maybe both? He's stuck in a limbo between starter and backup, but the arrow is definitely pointing down. He's QB2 right now, but with Sanders and Gabriel flashing promise and Flacco locked in as QB1, Pickett might just be the odd man out. His 2024 tape, mediocre at best. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 5 appearances. That doesn't exactly scream franchise quarterback. It whispers backup. And perhaps that's the hidden opportunity here. If Pickett fails to climb the depth chart, maybe he finds new value elsewhere on the trade block. The Browns could potentially reclaim a draft pick, maybe a 5th or 6th rounder. At this stage, that might be the most strategic outcome for both parties. But let's pump the brakes for a second, because there's so much more to unpack. You've just gotten the first wave of seismic shakeups from OTAs. The names you need to monitor, the futures that might already be sealed. But we're only halfway through. The second half is coming, and it's going to plunge even deeper into what all of this means for the 2025 season and how this roster might actually crystallize by week 1. Because when you look closely, these OTAs didn't just offer a sneak peek at who's leading. They gave us clarity on what's likely headed our way. Browns fans, make no mistake, this is a team at a pivotal crossroads. Every position group is being redefined, and the coaching staff isn't pulling any punches. They're handing real reps to the rookies, they're challenging the veterans, and in some cases, they're making it crystal clear the pecking order is no longer built on reputation, it's strictly performance or bust. Let's revisit Sheddeur Sanders for a moment, because his story is just getting started. If you're the Cleveland Browns, and your once prized first-round franchise quarterback is on the brink of irrelevance, then the 5th rounder, who's stacking impressive days in OTAs, suddenly becomes more than just a developmental project. This isn't merely about how Sanders looked in shorts and shells. This is about how quickly he's processing reads, how decisively he's delivering the ball, The coaching staff isn't oblivious. They see the spark. They see the future. And let's be real, if Sanders carries this momentum into minicamp and preseason, the notion of him leapfrogging Kenny Pickett on the depth chart isn't some hot take. It's inevitable. Now pivot back to that running back room. Judkins is only the tip of the iceberg. His meteoric rise is putting intense pressure on the rest of the backfield. And here's the kicker. The Browns aren't interested in slow cooking his development. They're prepping him for immediate impact. Imagine what that means. If Nick Chubb's return is delayed or managed cautiously, Judkins could easily inherit the lion's share of first-team reps. That dazzling outside cut for a massive gain, that wasn't luck, that was vision, instincts, and a leap burst. These are traits that don't need time to mature. They erupt instantly. And that's exactly what he's doing, showing up every single rep. Let's flip the focus back to defense. We already highlighted Carson Schlesinger as a budding star. And here's why you should care. This isn't just a rookie flashing in June. This is a young linebacker already calling out formations, already reading the game like a seasoned pro. He's not hesitating, he's anticipating. Coaches crave that. Teammates respect that. And when you're trying to earn a role in an already stacked linebacker core, that's the kind of intangible that separates the average from the exceptional. Schlesinger has it, and it's the kind of presence that can enable the Browns to get more creative with their defensive packages, more speed, more coverage flexibility, more unpredictability to confound opposing offenses. And let's talk about Jerry Jeudy. The headlines might focus on his potential breakout, but let's dig deeper. This is about chemistry. He's connecting with Flacco, sure, but he's also becoming the heartbeat of that wide receiver room. There's no more splitting the WR1 spotlight with Elijah Moore. This is Judy's stage now. The connection with Flacco. It's not just about timing routes. It's about trust, about seamless communication. Jeudy is poised to finally fulfill the promise of that first-round pick Denver invested in him, and Cleveland desperately needs him to, because with a potentially shifting quarterback hierarchy, a reliable WR1 who can consistently create separation and move the chains is invaluable. But let's not sugarcoat the dark cloud. DeShaun Watson. This isn't just bad optics. This is the slow-modern unraveling of a career that was once one of the NFL's most electrifying. From legal issues to injuries and now to complete silence at OTAs, it's a staggering fall. And if fans are still clinging to hope, the writing on the wall is getting harder and harder to ignore. The Browns didn't draft two quarterbacks and sign Joe Flacco because they believed in Watson's triumphant return. They did it because they're bracing for life without him. Plain and simple. His contract might keep him on the payroll, but his name isn't in the long-term blueprint. QB5. He's done. That's the cold hard truth. And Kenny Pickett, his outlook is hardly any rosier. He's trapped between a surging wave of young talent and a seasoned vet who already commands the system. The Browns know it, so don't be shocked if they explore a trade before the season opener. There are teams out there that might gamble on him as a backup option. And if Cleveland can flip him for a mid to late round pick, that's a win. Because right now, he's not part of the master plan. So here's the bottom line. Sanders is surging. Judkins is primed. Schlesinger is ascending. Jeudy is ready. Meanwhile, Watson and Pickett are fading. For Browns fans, that stirs both anticipation and anxiety. Because this isn't just about talent, it's about the trajectory of your entire franchise. The future is being forged right now in Berea, and the battles we're witnessing in June might determine everything in September. So what's next? Mandatory minicamp, real reps, real contact, real answers. We'll see who rises, who falls, and who shocks everyone. But Browns fans, this is your moment. Your team is evolving, new faces are breaking through, and the competition is as fierce as it's ever been. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below. Can Shedeur Sanders secure the QB2 spot? Should the Browns cut ties with Watson and Pickett now or hold out until midseason? Who's your breakout star for 2025? And if you appreciated this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications. This is your one-stop shop for everything Cleveland Browns. We'll be here all season long with inside scoops, fearless predictions, and every must-know update. What if I told you that the destiny of the Cleveland Browns 2025 season might not rest solely on the shoulders of one man, but rather on the collective impact of three, each standing at a crucial intersection of expectations, untapped potential, and mounting adversity? Imagine, behind the scenes of one of the NFL's most dynamic defensive front sevens, A story quietly taking shape, one of leadership off the field, a rookie walking a dangerous tightrope, and a megastar re-signing not just for accolades, but for responsibility. Unpack every angle in detail, but first, smash that like button and let's dive right in. Let's talk about Myles Garrett. The Cleveland Browns didn't just double down on their franchise cornerstone this offseason. They tripled down. They inked Garrett to a staggering $160 million 0-cents contract, instantly crowning him the highest paid non-quarterback in the entire league. This wasn't just an investment, it was a declaration. The Browns are betting the entire defensive identity on his presence, and with that comes a pressure that's anything but ordinary. The Steelers already feature a dependable tight end core led by Pat Freiermuth, sure-handed, consistent, and a reliable possession receiver. So does it really make sense to bring in Pitts, whose skill set overlaps significantly with Freiermuth's? That's where this rumor begins to lose its shine. And let's not forget Pitt's looming contract extension. He's entering the final year of his rookie deal. Any trade would necessitate not only draft capital, but also a hefty new contract. Instead, there's increasing chatter around another name, Janu Smith. And this isn't idle gossip. Smith thrived under Arthur Smith in Atlanta, especially in screen-heavy packages where his yards after catch prowess turned him into a nightmare for defenders. He's not only more explosive with the ball than Pitts, but also had a far more productive 2023 campaign. Plus, he brings a different dimension to the Steelers' offense compared to Freiermuth, offering a complementary skill set rather than redundant talent. Smith would seamlessly fit the Steelers' vision of deploying heavy 12 or 13 personnel, meaning multiple tight ends on the field at once, a core feature of Arthur Smith's offensive scheme. Right now, Freiermuth is solid and Darnell Washington is a fantastic blocker, but the depth behind them is questionable. Connor Hayward and others simply don't inspire enough confidence to fully commit to this tight end-centric identity. However, adding Smith would also raise a significant financial dilemma. Do the Steelers really want to commit top-tier salaries to two tight ends? Freiermuth already commands a salary north of $12 million, 0 cents annually, and Smith, coming off a Pro Bowl season, is likely seeking around $15 million, 0 cents per year. That's nearly $30 million, 0 cents, tied up in a single position group, a precarious financial gamble unless both players are featured prominently. Effectively orchestrated formations and strategic deployments would be indispensable, but beyond just tight ends, the Steelers aren't halting their pursuit of dynamic offensive weapons. There's growing speculation about a blazing fast wide receiver they've been monitoring, Trey Palmer from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This 24-year-old speedster, a 6th-round selection out of Nebraska, clocked a legitimate 4.3-second 40-yard dash, cementing his reputation as one of the league's fastest players. Palmer's allure lies in his electrifying speed and his capacity to stretch defenses vertically. Though he's not known for making contested catches and his hands can be inconsistent, his ability to stack defensive backs and torch defenders on deep crossing routes is a tantalizing trait. Surprisingly, he's also an aggressive run blocker, an attribute Arthur Smith highly values. With Tampa Bay drafting 2 new receivers, Palmer's roster spot may be in jeopardy, opening the door for Pittsburgh to potentially secure a bargain. A late-round pick swap might be all it takes to bring him in. Palmer isn't the only name circulating. John Mechie has also been floated as a viable target, a young, cost-controlled receiver with refined route running and reliable hands. Yet, if the Steelers are truly going all in, one development cannot be overlooked: the looming presence of Aaron Rodgers. There's mounting anticipation that Rodgers could sign with the Steelers before the June 10th mandatory minicamp. Should that transpire, veteran receivers like Amari Cooper or Keenan Allen, both of whom have reportedly been hesitant to commit without clarity at quarterback, could suddenly become legitimate targets. Imagine this scenario: Aaron Rodgers under center, firing passes to George Pickens, Amari Cooper, or Keenan Allen, with Janu Smith and Pat Freiermuth wreaking havoc in tight end sets, while Trey Palmer blazes downfield, stretching defenses to the brink. That's an offense built to win now. An offense designed to chase championships. With Cam Hayward's career entering its twilight, the urgency is palpable. Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin have signaled clearly the time to win is now. Yet amid all this potential wheeling and dealing, from trades for Pitts or Smith to eyeing Palmer, Cooper, or Allen, one pivotal question emerges: which move makes the most strategic sense for the Steelers right now? Steelers Nation, sound off below. Should the Steelers go all in on Janu Smith, Kyle Pitts, Or should they prioritize upgrading the wide receiver core first? Let's dissect this rapidly evolving situation, because the decisions made in the next few weeks could define the Steelers' 2025 season and perhaps the legacy of this front office under Omar Khan. Starting with Janu Smith, it's essential to appreciate why he's more than just a convenient option. Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow.